Alright guys, today's goal, the learner will understand what a quadratic function is. A quadratic function is an equation in two variables that can be written y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are constants and a cannot be 0. So I'm going to say first, before we make the table of values for the given function, identify what a, b, and c equal. So if you look at our equation, a, what is x squared being multiplied by? B, what is x being multiplied? C is the constant, just the constant alone. So here, a is -1, b is 2, and c is 1. Number 2 here, a is 3, b is 6, c is -9. Okay, this can help us, because later we'll be talking about maximum and minimum values. This is something you're going to want to write down. Even though I'm just saying it, you're going to want to write this down here. When a is negative, that means that you are going to have a maximum value, because we'll talk about the shape here in 1 minute, but when a is negative, it's a maximum value. When a is positive, it's a minimum value. Okay? So the shape of a quadratic function when we graph it is called a parabola. What that looks like is either this or this. See? Here's where there's the minimum value, here's where there's the maximum value. So it just said make a table of values for the given function. So how do we make the table of values? Okay, well, this is the middle point that I want you to start at. Negative b divided by 2a. When it says to do that. So if I look, I want to start where when x is -2 divided by 2 times -1 equals 1. So that's the middle. That's the middle point you're going to start at. So you pick 1, then you pick 0, then you pick -1. Then you pick 2, then you pick 3. There's the middle. You go 2 to the left of it, 2 to the right of it. Okay? So now plug these x values into this equation and calculate. So I'll do the very first example here. You get y equals negative times -1 squared plus 2 times -1 plus 1. That is -1 minus 2 plus 1. -2. Okay? Plug in 0, you get 1. You plug in 1 for x, you would get 2. You plug in 2 for x, you get 1. You plug in 3 for x, you get -2. See how it came up to 2, went back down to -2? You'll see what that means when we go to graph these, but before we graph, we need to be able to make the tables. That's why we're doing this. So let's make another table. How do we know where to start? You use this, -b divided by 2a. So you say x equals -6 divided by 2 times 3, -1. So you have -1, -2, -3, 0, and 1. Okay? So press pause and start plugging those values in. So hopefully you did, but you plug in -3, you should get 0. You plug in -2, you should get -9. Plug in -1, you get -12. Plug in 0, you get -9. Plug in 2, or plug in 1, you get 0. See how they still space out evenly like that? That should happen when we do this. Okay? Alright, so now we're going to have to make the table and graph it. So there we go. So, again, start by finding -b over 2 times a. So remember, in this case, a is 1, b is -8, c -2. So this would be 4. So you go 4 in the middle, 3, 2, 5, 6, and then we start to plug those in for x. So substitute in 2 for x. Okay, so watch. If I substitute 2 in for the x, (4 minus 16 minus 2), you would get -14. And then we get -17, -18, -17, -14. So that means we're going to have to change the scale of this. So, of our graph here. So I would go through and I would say this is 4, 8, 10, -4, -8, -10, and then 2, 4, wrong side. So you should put them over here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and then down below -4, -8. So we rescale it so that we can fit everything. So I go to 2, -14. So so I go 2 over, and then -2, -4, -6, -8, 12, 14. So right here is where I had to make that point. And then watch, right now I'm going to go over to 5, because now that's 2, 4, 5 would be halfway in between. And then it was 3, -17. And then 4, -18. Hold on. And then it's 3, -17, which would have been here. It's also 5, -17, which would have been here. See how these form that U? And look, A is positive. See how it has the minimum value? Because A is positive. Okay? So go ahead and press pause. Try to graph this one. Take a guess. Do you think it's going to have a minimum or a maximum value first? Okay? Okay, so hopefully you could say A is -1, B is 0, C is -3. See, because if you think, remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. Do you see just x? No, you see x squared, but not x, so b is 0. So we find the point we're starting at. -0 divided by 2 times -1. 0. -1, -2, 1, 2. So we don't need to redo the graph or anything. And now, if we think about this, so maximum or minimum? Well, A is negative. When A was positive, it was the minimum. When A is negative, it means we're going to have a max. Okay, so now let's see. Let's plug it in. You plug in -2, you get -7. You plug in -1, you get -4. Plug in 0, you get -3. Plug in 1, you get -4. Plug in 2, you get -7. So -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, -7. So -2, down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you can just go 2 to the right as well, because it's +2, -7. -1, down, 1, 2, 3, 4. To the right, 4. 0, -3. 1, 2, 3. See how that's the maximum value of the graph? Alright, guys. So that is a quadratic function. The shape of the graph. These are all called parabola. Okay? Alright. Here is your homework. Make the table, graph it. Tell me whether it has a maximum or minimum. Okay? We'll see you guys tomorrow.